This is the GWM Tank 300, and if you're in the market for a boxy, macho, rugged off-roader, you really don't have a choice, do you? Because you see, there is the Suzuki Jimny 3-door and 5-door that goes from 160,000 ringgit all the way up to 200,000 ringgit. But that one has a very short spec sheet, so keep that in mind. And then, it's a complete blank all the way up until you pass the 1 million ringgit mark and you arrive at the Mercedes-AMG G63. Again, something not for us mortals. So then, that leaves this one. And at 250,000 ringgit, is it your next perfect car? Let's find out. Looks-wise, I love it. I know it's a highly subjective, highly personal take, but to me, this is how all SUVs should look. Boxy, upright, purposeful, and rugged. From the big, black, bold grille to the circular LED taillights, to the plastic cladding, all around, right to the back, the swing tailgate with the spare tyre in full view for all to see. It's a very purposeful look and I love it. Small complaints though, I'm not sure how I feel about these LED DRLs cutting into the circular headlights and those 18-inch dual-tone alloy wheels. They look good, but they don't exactly scream hardcore off-road performance. Then of course you arrive at the tyre choices. Right now we've got Michelin Premises, and to be honest, I'm not sure if it's the right tyre choice if you want to go off-roading, but it does strike a better balance for, both on and off-road performance. As for boot space, swing open the tailgate and we get 400 litres of boot space. There's even a pocket with a net for smaller items and quite a number of hooks for additional cargo. There's even a power outlet here. And because of the square shape, it's actually quite easy to load a 20 and 24-inch suitcase inside. But bear in mind that the load height is quite high. For reference, I'm 6 feet tall and it's just below my waist, so have that in mind. And then if you need more cargo space, you can always just fold the 60/40 seats down. And another bonus feature, if I remove this cover right here and just lay it on its side for a bit, and I pull out this bit right here, you'll find that the car comes with, there we go, it comes with a table. Step inside and yes, let's hear all the copyright infringement jokes because the interior architecture is a carbon copy of the Mercedes G-Class. The twin 12.3-inch screens, the upright dashboard, even the design of the aircon vents, they're all lifted straight from the G-Wagen, so make of that what you will. As for the steering wheel, it feels generally rather good. The spokes are a bit too thick though, which I assume that they're trying to encourage you to hold it with your thumbs pointing upwards and out, like when you're going off-roading for real, but who knows. Material-wise, we get synthetic Napa leather, and generally it doesn't feel too cheap at important touch points. It's covered in rather soft touch materials here and there. So good effort. Then of course, we also get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto wired. And the 360-degree camera, it's quite good. The resolution is very sharp, it's very crisp. But with that said, going back to the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto interface, the screen did freeze up on me numerous times. Not once, not twice, quite a number of times, and it got bad to the point where I had to actually turn the car on and off again in order to reset the whole screen. You also get grab handles like you do in a proper off-roader, but you get quite a number of nods to luxury in here as well, such as the 9-speaker Infinity sound system. Then we've got 64 color ambient lighting setup, plus a wireless charger as well. So it's all quite nice, until you realize that despite all those luxury features, only the driver's window gets a one-touch up-down function. Down below the aircon vents, we've got physical buttons for the climate control, yes. And then we've got USB-A, USB-C port, we've got a 12-volt power outlet. Then we've got the rotary knobs to switch between 2 high, 4 low, and then a mode for different terrains as well. And then further back, we've got this button here which triggers crawl control. It's basically, it creeps the car forward as you're going off-road. And then behind this, you've got a button for the tank turn, which basically locks the inside rear wheel so that you can pivot in a tight spot. So as for storage spaces and practicality, alright, down below this air vent over here, there's a small tray where you can slot your touch and go cards and whatnot. And then over here, there is a cutout by the door handle, but it's open up at below, so you don't exactly want to put items there for fear they may just fall right out. And then down below, the door bins, you can fit a half-liter water bottle, and there's a smaller compartment right behind for, you know, loose items such as your wallet and whatnot. Center console, we've got 2 cup holders, and it's got a removable panel as well. And then you lift the center armrest, we have a tray which you can slide back and forth for, again, smaller items such as keys and whatnot. And the storage space beneath the armrest is a decent size, more than enough to fit your phones, again, wallets, and more loose items. Alright, moving on to the rear seats, and as usual, the front seat is adjusted to my drawing position. For reference, I'm 184 centimeters tall. Now, the immediate benefit to having a really boxy upright structure is that legroom and headroom is actually quite good. So, for example, in terms of legroom, I have 2 tennis balls worth of legroom and still lots of room to slide my feet underneath. And then the roof, because of this indent right here, I get two tennis balls worth of headroom, so very well done on that front. As for other features, practicality and amenities, we've got grab handles here for the passengers to hang on to, so that's good. A relatively flat floor also means that the middle passenger won't complain too much, and I like the use of a lighter coloured headliner because it feels like the interior is a lot more airier than it actually is. Now on to storage spaces. We've got 2 seat pockets, we've got a cutout at the door handle, but you know, again, don't put any items because they're going to fall out. The bins here are not as big as ones up front, they can only fit a canned drink. Then if you drop the center armrest, we've got 2 cup holders. Aircon vents, we've got 2 aircon vents, 2 USB-A ports, and down below there seems to be a small little compartment or pocket for your phone. Alright, on the move. So let's get the tech specs out of the way. Now in Malaysia, we only get one spec, and it comes with a 2-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder petrol engine, pumping out 220 horsepower and 380 Newton meters of torque, paired to a ZF 8-speed automatic. That's good news, and part-time 4-wheel drive. So how does it feel out on the road? Now I know that the Tank 300 is positioned as a proper off-roader, but let's be real, a good majority of owners are never going to take this off-road. So on-road manners is just as, if not more important. So at city speeds, it's a smooth operator. There's adequate grunt on tap, and the gearbox is well calibrated. I mean, that ZF 8-speed has always been a gem anyway, so that's good. Now, in terms of ride comfort, it's decent. Going over potholes, rough surfaces, it's not the end of the world. It's quite plush, but of course it is quite roly-poly, which is to be expected from a car of this nature. Now, one small issue is that the indicator stalks don't stay in place and click back after you've finished switching lanes. So for example, if I toggle it to the left, I switch lanes, and then I end up toggling it to the right because, you know, you use a bit too much force, and then you gotta try again and again and again to cancel the signal out from each direction. Pick up the speeds, and of course things don't go according to plan. I mean, there's a lot of body roll, quite pronounced body roll when you're throwing it into corners, so don't do that obviously. And at highway speeds, when the road becomes a bit more undulating, then the ride becomes pretty bouncy. The car never truly settles. So all I can say is manage your speed and it should behave well enough. Okay, in terms of refinement, we've got double glazed front windows and windscreen. Plus those Michelin tires I talked about earlier on, they do a good job of cancelling out tire noise. So it's not too bad. But with aerodynamic properties similar to a brick, you're gonna hear quite a fair bit of wind noise, especially when you begin to hit 90 to about 100 kilometers per hour. And while I've yet to fully experience this car off-road, my colleagues who have tried it claim that it's more than adequate for the occasional off-road run, although a lack of a diesel engine may limit its appeal amongst the more hardcore crowd. As for safety kit, it's the usual ADAS suite consisting of ACC, AEB, lane departure warning and lane keep assist, plus Wisdom Dodge, which is a bit of a GWM trademark. So essentially this system monitors for large lorries and trucks and then aims to keep the car at a relatively safe distance, just in case you end up wandering a bit too near to one. Now generally they all work fine, but I do however have two complaints. Number one, the ELK, or rather the emergency lane keeping function, is way too paranoid. It keeps tugging at the wheel even when you're not at the edge of a lane. So yeah, I turned that off. Second, and this is not much of a negative but rather more of something that you need to get used to. So you see, the ACC controls on most cars are controlled via a set of buttons on the steering wheel spoke, right? Not this one. This one, they're all controlled via a stalk by the side of the steering. So, $1,000,000 question. Is the GWM Tank 300 your next perfect car? Well, as I've mentioned earlier on, it's in a very small class with only the 5-door Suzuki Jimny coming close to it. Yes, it's 50k more, as in this is 50,000 ringgit more, but you do get more car compared to the quite bare bones Suzuki. But let's be honest, these cars, more often than not, they're a personal statement rather than rational purchases. These are cars you buy with your heart rather than your head. So if you're quite set on the Jimny, you're quite set on the Jimny. And if you're quite set on the Tank, you are quite set on the Tank. And on that note, I think it's time we call it a day. Thank you so much for watching. You guys know the drill. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Drive safe and take care.